Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the summit. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Alexis Moore. I'll be your co host today, and I am here with Paul Hoffman. So, a little bit about Paul before we jump in. Paul Hoffman is the personal discovery architect and visionary behind Sculpting Your Life. Renowned for his transformative programs that activate habits, rituals, and mind states of possibility, Paul helps individuals and organizations unlock their highest potential by reshaping mental patterns that build fearless mind states of success. His work emphasizes creative solutions and actionable strategies so you manifest and live the epic ideal life you desire and deserve. Paul inspires people to tune in to the unique frequency of who you are so that you live your life with purpose, passion, and clarity. Welcome, Paul. Hello, hello.
Well, hello, Alexis, and thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. And today we're talking about habits, mindset, and purpose, unlocking your best year yet. So, what do you think about it? Do you think that we can handle that? It's kind of a heavy lift. Unlocking
I think
your best year yet. What do you think?
I think what we're going to do today is going to be nothing short of phenomenal. And I think that what's going to happen is everybody, once they listen to this, as well as all the other speakers that are on this amazing summit, that if they don't really apply, or if for some reason they decide not to apply all the wisdom that they're going to receive, then it's really on them, because life is what you make it.
Well, let's get started. Let's jump in. And, I want to get to the sculpting the masterpiece known as you. But before that, I'm curious what you think about sharing a little bit about your personal journey and story, because it's like such a fascinating journey that you've had. And I think it's really informative in terms of letting us know, what you've been through that's gotten to you to start doing this work in the first place. So what do you think about starting there and sharing a little bit of that with us?
Absolutely. So let me start to say that, Alexis, everybody has a history and a herstory. Okay. So we all have our own stories, right? And so mine has been one that's been quite, I would say, has a lot of have had a lot of twists and turns. So I grew up in a small town in upstate New York called Brewster, New York. Went to college on a basketball scholarship to University of Vermont. Played basketball for a year, and then I realized that in order to get to the next level in life, actually in order to get to the best year of your life, you got to change something, and you got to really anchor yourself into the vision and the purpose that you have for that. So I went to college on a basketball scholarship. I played for a year, and then I quit school. One of the lovely things about the basketball journey was I got to play against an amazing basketball player named Dr. J, who's Julius Erving. So he went to the University of Massachusetts. So that was a big call to fame for me in my basketball journey. So when I quit school, I didn't know what I was going to do. So a buddy of mine was quitting school at the same time and said, "Hey, why don't you come and work with me?" And I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" His name is Neil. He said, "Well, I'm going to go be the road manager for a rock band called Edgar Winter's White Trash." I said, "Uh-huh, who are they?" He said, "Well, blah, 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 blah." I said, "And what would I do?" He said, "Well, you'd be a roadie." And I said, "What's a roadie?" He said, "Well, you drive around the country setting up equipment." I said, "I've never set up an amplifier in my life, Neil. I played basketball most of my life." He said, "Don't worry, we'll have a lot of fun." Well, he was right. We moved to Rhinebeck, New York, and I became their roadie for a year, traveling around the country, setting up stages for this band called Edgar Winter's White Trash. And then, we would like the opening act for bands like Chicago and 10 Years After and Three Dog Night and all these bands back in the 80s, right? And then Neil got fired, and so they made me the road manager. Now, the road manager didn't have to set up the equipment anymore. The road manager now would fly with the band on the plane. So I was the road manager for a year. That band broke up, and the lead singer of that band asked me to manage him. Now, Alexa, one of the things about me is I'm Italian. I like to throw things up on the wall and see what sticks. So I'm very, very, very daring, and I like to challenge myself, which is another thing about the best year of your life. You've got to challenge yourself to get out of your mediocrity so you step into extraordinary. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But so anyway, so I managed this guy, Jerry. I have no idea how to manage a band or manage an artist. So I ended up getting a co-manager, and we ended up getting a record deal for Jerry. We recorded an album, and we went on the road as the opening act for a band called Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. People probably know who Ozzy Osbourne is. And we did a 45 city tour. And what happened is our drummer got killed in a bar fight during the tour. So that band kind of broke up. And so I now was going to go back to school and get a law degree. Okay, because I'm very fascinated with law and I like the law. Anyway, my friend Neil, who hired me as the roadie, called me up and said, "Hey, listen, my dad, he came from a very rich family, set me up in a tour management company, and their first client was a band called Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which was a very famous band at that time. This was in the late '70s, and so I ended up becoming their tour manager. So the tour manager is somebody that is responsible for the whole tour. Okay, and so I did that for 2 years with them. And along the way, I met the manager of a band called Pink Floyd, which I'm sure people know, and I became their tour manager for 2 years. So I traveled around the country and the world, I should say, with Pink Floyd for 2 years. And in that job taught me about organization and systems and responsibility and commitment and accountability, all the things you need for the best year of your life. So I
Mhm.
did that. I did that. And then finally, I was done. I was going to go back to school and finally get the law degree. So I quit after 6 years being on the road, and I went back to NYU. I was going to get a law degree. And my brother happened to be a recording engineer at a jingle company in New York, which is music for advertising. And I ended up getting a gig with them. I was going to school 2 days a week. I became their salesman for 3 days a week. And what happened was I got them a lot of business through major agencies, advertising agencies, right? And I ended up becoming their executive producer. My brother and I started our own company. I ended up, my brother and I ended up having a little falling out, as sometimes siblings do. And I started my own music for advertising company, my own jingle company called Paul Hoffman Music in 1980. And the biggest jingle I wrote that year was a jingle for the Ford Motor Company. And it was, "Have you driven a Ford lately?" So I wrote that jingle, right? And I was in the jingle business for 10 years uh, and very, very, very successful. I also acquired a very robust cocaine addiction. I'm very transparent about this. And what happened was it brought me to my knees. And so in 1988, I was put in a straitjacket. I was sent to the 14th floor of the psych ward of St. Vincent's Hospital in New York, and I reinvented myself. And then I got into what I do now, which is a personal discovery architect, helping people understand that the biggest obstacle to success in your life, whatever that looks like for you, is you. And once you learn how to get out of your own way, then you get to sculpt the masterpiece known as you.
It's thank you for putting that in a nutshell for us. And I appreciate hearing you tell your story because there's so many pivots in it, and there's like the highs, and then there's also the lows too. And now you stand here before us with the wisdom from that journey. So, can you share with us, how sculpting the masterpieces known as you came to be, and maybe share a little bit with us about what that is as well, what that means?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I once I got into doing what I do now, I started with there's a guy named T. Harv Eker who's like a Tony Robbins kind of guy. He had a company called Peak Potentials. So when I moved to Los Angeles from New York after I had been through my journey of cocaine addiction and all these other things that really kind of brought me to my knees, I got to LA and I became part of a spiritual community with Michael Beckwith, who I know is one of the speakers on the Wisdom for Life. And so I was on the board of directors of Agape for 15 years. So that was my spiritual center. And what Agape and that whole spiritual journey got to me to understand is everything in my life is a direct result of some thought and belief that I have about me. So which creates the behaviors that I do on
Mm-hmm.
in how I walk my life. And so when I met this guy named T. Harv Eker, and I went to one of his seminars, I had never been to anything like this before in my life. I got to tell you, 5,000 people jumping up and down, hooting and hollering, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. It was like, who the hell are these people, man? You know? And finally, so Harv comes up to me after the this event, and he says, "So what'd you think?" I said, "Well, Harv, you're an amazing teacher, which he is, but your music sucks." He said, "What do you mean my music sucks?" I said, "Well, you and I think everybody else in that whole personal development world play popular songs to try to fit into your principles. Why don't you have your own song?" He said, "Well, how would I do that?" He had an attitude, right? I said, "Well, I'll write it for you." So I wrote him a song. The course was called the Millionaire Mind Intensive. And what it was is a 3-day course where he got you to change your money blueprint. Because as I just said, if you think you're poor, you're poor. But if you think abundant, then what happens is you're going to be out there looking for abundant opportunities, right? But if you think you're poor, what happens is you shelter yourself into living this life where it's like you're afraid to take steps, you resist things and all these other things. So I wrote him a song called "I've Got a Millionaire Mind." I sang it live. He comes up to me and says, "Can you write songs for all my courses?" I said, "Well, here's my negotiating tactic. If the deal's right, I can do anything." So I wrote 16 songs for him. And then I got a call from a guy named Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? He said, "Hey, I heard Harv Eker got a song. How do I get one?" And then all these other people in the personal development world started calling me and wanted songs. So I said, I must be onto something here. So I created a company called Success Songs. And Success Songs are songs that change your mind states, behaviors, and beliefs so you hear life from a higher vibration. So I've got this company called Success Songs. So that got me into that part of thing. And then along the way, I realized that, I've been a meditator, if you will, all my life. But I always felt that there was a difference in meditating, because a lot of people, when they meditate, at the end of their meditation, they feel like they maybe haven't really accomplished anything. But there is nothing to accomplish when you meditate. When you sit in silence, what you're supposed to do when you sit in silence, at least in my opinion, is just listen. Listen to what the universe has given you. Take the stuff that works for you and the stuff that doesn't, let it go. So I created a brain technology. I call it multivariant resonant technology. And there's a company called Mind Valley, which is a big company in Malaysia, a big personal development company. And they marketed my brain technology. They called it Om Harmonics, and we had a little more than 3 million people download it. And so I kind of got into this whole idea of realizing that, so I can sculpt my reality by the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions, and the choices I make in my life, who I hang out with, all the stuff that really is part of who I am. And so I ended up sculpting your life, because first of all, I know you're a masterpiece. Everybody's a masterpiece. Unfortunately, sometimes we forget it. And then I kind of got into the whole idea of the metaphor for sculpting your life is when Michelangelo saw this block of granite thousands of years ago, or hundreds of thousands, whatever it is, he saw David. All he did was take everything in the way, out of the way, and there's David. And so I understood that, you know what? Everything in my life is driven, again, by some thought and belief that I have about myself. So it stands to reason that it's not only that is that how that affects me, but it affects everybody. So once you learn how to get out of your own way, then you get to sculpt the masterpiece known as you. So I ended up creating these processes and these programs, the music, the brain stuff. And by the way, I don't call it meditation because everybody else does. One thing about me is I like to invent my own language. Now, sometimes it gets me in trouble and sometimes it doesn't. I don't care, right? But since we're all unique, right, you might as well stand in your uniqueness, because as Oscar Wilde said, you might as well be you because everybody else is taken, right? And so I ended up creating all these programs and processes and systems and so forth and methods that got me to be able to help people get out of their own way so they could sculpt the masterpiece known as you. So once you start from the concept or the principle that you're already a masterpiece, then the next thing you got to do is find out where you're getting in your own way, which is now not allowing you to sculpt that masterpiece. That makes sense.
Sure, certainly. And, it makes me curious to kind of go back to this point in your story where I love how you say, I found myself in a straitjacket. It's a great image. And then you transition and you're on the board of Agape. So what was it that, what, this may seem like a very silly question, but I'm just wondering, like, how did coming into contact with maybe the spiritual teachings or with this personal development kind of material, how did it change your life in a way that you were like, yeah, this is something I really want to lean into, because you already had a lot of money and you already had a lot of success. So what was it that you got from this new pathway that was more fulfilling for you and made you want to help other people with it?
Well, great question. So the reason that I am where I am today and do what I do today is because, frankly, to be honest with you, I was freaking unhappy and miserable. Okay. Okay. Have you ever been in a straitjacket, Alexis?
Not yet.
Okay. It's very uncomfortable. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But, and so I was miserable. And so I had to go on I call it a personal discovery inquiry, because I don't call it personal development. I call it personal discovery, because if you want to develop something in your life, you got to discover it first, and then you can develop it. All right. And so, and so what I do, again, being a personal discovery architect, is I help people discover what they want to develop in their life and then help them architect it. Okay. Through what I've done in my stuff. So I was miserable. Yeah, I was very successful. I made millions of dollars in the jingle business, but I had a very robust cocaine addiction. I had a $2,500 a week cocaine addiction. I spent a lot of money on cocaine. I spent a lot of money on other things that were unnecessary, and I did things in my life that was not really were not going to help me get to that place in my life where I was living what I call my epic ideal life. And so I ended up understanding that if I wasn't getting the outcomes and the results that I wanted in my life, then there must be a reason for that to happen. And I guess the only place to look was within me. This is not your fault. See, there's nothing outside of you that's going to make you happy. I don't care who you are. You can think the new car is going to make you, hey, I got a great new car. You can think the new girlfriend's going to, hey, I got a new girlfriend. I got a big house. You can think all that if you want. Okay, but I'm here to tell you from my own personal experience, which is the only thing I can tell you. You don't have to believe me or not. If you're looking for something outside of you to make you happy, you're going to be looking a long time. Because there's a term in the personal development, personal discovery world, which is, and it's not even that, it's just even been around forever, which is your inner reality creates your outer circumstance. So I reframe it and I say your environment, environment creates your environment. Okay. And so that means that whatever you put in, so whatever you read, whatever you watch, whatever you listen to, whatever you eat and consume, I don't care what your diet is, whoever you hang out with, whatever you're listening to has a profound effect on what you're going to do every day to get from point A to point B in your life. And so unless you can bring the good stuff in, okay, the stuff that inspires and empowers you, then what happens is you're going to continue down that same old road. You're going to wake up every morning and go, geez, I wish my life would change. Well, your life could change if you change. But change is painful, Alexis. People don't want to change because it's painful. Okay? But it's painful because it's challenging. It's
Hmm.
telling you to get out of the old mold of who you are so you can create a new vision, a new purpose, and a new passion with clarity for what you want in your life. And then you got to go and do it. And so if you fall down, my good friend Les Brown would always say, if you fall down, make sure you fall down on your back so you're looking up. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, you know what? Not everything is not perfect. If things were perfect, you'd have nothing to work on. Okay. The universe isn't designed for that. Source is my guide. Okay. Source
Mm.
is what I listen to. Source is what tells me and what gives me the insights and the wisdom to do the things that are akin to what I want to do in my life. And so everybody has a unique frequency. Okay. Because everything is frequency, at least in my opinion. Everything is frequency. The Tesla said everything is energy. It truly
Hmm.
is. So your
Hmm.
frequency attracts a like frequency. Life is a mirror image. Okay? It's a mirror image. So what you put out is what you'll get back. Okay? And so since life is a frequency, then and you have a unique frequency. So my frequency is nothing like yours because you have a unique frequency, Alexis. You are Alexis. There's nobody on this planet that's like you. Nobody. And that's the gift of being a unique individual. And
Mm.
so the idea of again looking outside of yourself for something is not going to get you where you want to get to. It might give you a temporary,
Right.
keyword being temporary outcome, but then again you're going to be looking for it again at some other time. Okay? So since everything again is a frequency, the most important conversation that you can have with yourself every day is the conversation you have with yourself. Or the most important conversation that you have is the one with yourself. Because
Right.
if you're going to talk to yourself in ways, I always say there's nine there's nine different I call them frequencies in your internal conversation, right? And so there, and if you have them and you access them, let me just get them over here. Then what happens is your internal conversation, your inner conversation, is one that's gonna get you to the next level in your life. So you got to be aligned, you got to be
Mm.
inspired, you got to be empowered, you got to be encouraged, you got to be motivated, confident, determined, committed, and accountable. So if you have all those nine different stages, your internal conversation will be one where you will now be doing things. You'll have what I call um, um, courageous curiosity. Okay, but most people, they live life by the seat of their pants, which is fine. Listen, spontaneity is awesome. Okay, but if you don't talk, if you don't talk to yourself in ways that empower you, then you're going to be you know you're not going to be able to move forward in your life in the way that you want, because you're not going to be able to give yourself the gift of the inspiration to do that, and most people won't do that. Okay, so when you start a new year, so this is about the best year of your life. Okay. Now, every year is the best year of your life. Let's just let,
Hey.
let's just call it what it is. Okay. Okay. Here's the problem. Here's the problem and we're not talking about resolutions. Okay. We're talking about how do we get to the best year of your life. Well, here's the thing. Most people are making resolutions. Resolutions. It's a beautiful word, Alexis. A gorgeous word. Okay. I always say resolutions are disillusions. Okay. Now, if you ever I work out every day. I go to the gym every day. Okay. I can guarantee it. January 1st at my gym, man, I might even be able to get in the door. It's going to be so crowded.
Right.
January 5th, ain't nobody going to be in there, because you know why? Because change is painful. You've got to do things different. Okay. And most people don't want to do that. Most people want immediate results, and results only come from discipline and repetition. The only way you can change an old behavior and a belief and a habit is by being disciplined enough to do something different and repeat that behavior over and over and over again. And most people say, well, it takes the time to create a habit. I've probably read most every book on habits out there. Okay, I'm a big habit guy. Okay, there's good habits and there's bad habits. Okay, and so in order to change a habit, the first thing you got to do is want to change the habit. See, if you don't have the desire to do it, you're not going to do it. I don't care who you are. So in order to change a habit, it doesn't take 21 days. It could take 3 days. It could take 7 days. It might take 21 days. It shouldn't. If it takes 6 months, whew, I don't know about that habit, right? So again, you have to really be mindful and be willing to go through the fire and be willing to be challenged from your old behaviors and beliefs so that you create new visions of what it's going to take for you to make that happen. And then you got to do it. And again, if you make mistakes, great. Mistakes are what gives you new opportunities. Okay? And if you're in fear, then rather than let fear stop you in your tracks, which a lot of people do, okay? Because fear doesn't feel good. All right. But if you want to be fearless, then let fear motivate you.
One of the things that you talk about is this term mind states.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm compelled by that, because you talk about how mind states help drive thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. So can you tell us a little bit about like how to understand one's mind states? Because you're talking about fear and like using it to drive you. So I'm just wondering if we can get a little more understanding of like how to recognize what mind state we're in, and then also how that's influencing us to act in the moment.
Okay. So to be totally transparent, so everybody talks about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
reason, the reason, and I've read all the books on mindset too, is the reason I don't call it mindset again is because of what I said earlier, Alexis. Is I like to create my own language. Okay.
Right.
So I one day I was thinking about mindset. Everybody talks about mindset. Everybody talks about whatever. It's like I don't call myself a coach because there's a million coaches out there. So I trying to make, and again, this is important for people for the best year of your life as well. So in order to set yourself apart from the masses, you have to do something different. So if everybody's going right, I suggest you go left. Okay? And go for it no matter what. And so when I was thinking about mindset, I said, you know what? There's got to be a different way to say mindset. So I said, well, why don't we just call it mind state? Because your state of mind
Right.
creates your mindset.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
where I come from that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing what state of mind you're in, whether you're inspired,
Yeah.
whether you're empowered, whether you're motivated, whether you're confident, knowing those are all frequencies, whatever frequency your state of mind is, will create the mindset that's necessary for you to go down whatever path you want to go down to get to what I call your epic ideal life.
And it's compelling to me because it caused me to reflect on my own experience, and it caused me to reflect on when I graduated college, and then I moved down from my hometown. I moved to Los Angeles, and I was working in a restaurant, paying off student loans and things, and after being there for like a year and a half, it really started to get to me. And I was like, oh my goodness, kind of doing the quarter life crisis thing. Like, okay, am I going to use my degree? Da, 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 that kind of thing. And it really occurs to me when I look back, I always focused on how am I going to change my circumstances? I need to get like another job. I need to go and start trying to look for work within my field. but I didn't know anything about mind states. I didn't know that I was waking up and I was immediately like looking at my phone and like judging myself. And, I didn't know I wasn't in an empowered mind state. I didn't know I wasn't in an encouraged mind state. And then I didn't know how to create that for myself. So it's like I was taking a lot of action out of these kind of, mind states that are self-critical. And it's like, that's not a good position, state of being to like even do your resume in, right? Let alone look for a job. So, that's why anyway, so that's why it was kind of compelling to me as I was thinking about this. And I don't know, hand it back to you. What do you see in your work with people?
Well, here's the thing. So I'm going to give you a couple of things. First of all, and I appreciate you and love you sharing some of your journey with me, and I appreciate that. And and again, I know your journey has been one of extraordinary, or else you wouldn't be doing what you do. Okay, you know the difference between mediocrity and extraordinary, and that's good. Some people don't. Some people are okay with mediocrity because it's comfortable. See, when people talk to me about oh man, I'm in my comfort zone, I always say, well, that's really wonderful. But when you're in your comfort zone, you're really in a no zone. So I don't know if you remember as a kid, you remember seesaws, right? So you go up and down. That seesaw up and down. That's movement, right? But most of us on a seesaw wanted to go into balance, right? That was the thing we'd all want to do. And when you're in balance, you're going nowhere, are you? Because if you're doing this, you're going somewhere. Right? But if you're in balance, you're going nowhere. So I always use that metaphor when I talk about the no zone of your comfort zone. So you don't want to be in your comfort zone, because if you're in your comfort zone, then you're comfortable. And okay, it's nice to be comfortable if you're watching TV and you got a little popcorn and you got a little blanket on you. That's nice. That's comfortable. But life is not designed to be comfortable. Life is designed to be exciting. Okay? Life is designed for you to really step into who you are, that unique frequency of who you are. And you go out and do that. And everything you do in your life builds on that. And when you talk about, you didn't know what you need, the truth of the matter is you don't need anything. Nobody needs anything. Everything that's necessary for you to live this epic ideal life that I call it, or you can call it whatever you want to call it, everything that's necessary for you to have that kind of life is already here. It's already within you. The spiritual process already has that within you. Source already has given that to you. All you need to do is access it,
right,
activate it, and integrate it. Okay? And that's the things that most people, again, don't want to do. It's excuse my language, to get up in the morning and do something different. Most people get up in the morning, and I want to talk a little bit about rituals in a sec. Most people get up in the morning and they say one or two things to themselves. I'm pretty sure of this. Okay, either oh my God, it's another day, or what am I going to do today to create my epic ideal life? What do I need to do today to make my day the most crazy, best, empowering day I've ever had in my life? Okay, and one of them is self-judgment and criticism. That's a mind trap. So I talk about I don't talk about limiting beliefs, although because everybody else talks about limiting beliefs. Okay, I call them mind traps. Okay, so there's 7 mind traps. Most everybody's got them. Procrastination, scarcity, a scarcity mindset. Because if you have a scarcity mindset, then you're missing out. The world's abundant, Alexis. We live in an abundant universe. Okay, and it's out there for you if you think abundantly. But if you think scarce, then you're going to be in scarcity. Okay, fear of failure is a big one. People have fear of failure. I don't want to do it because I might fail. Good, fail. Good. Okay, distractions and diversions. You wake up in the morning. Now this is off. See this thing? That's an addiction. Okay, this is an addiction. It's to be used when it's necessary. Okay, my girlfriend uses her phone for everything. I make phone calls on my phone and text. Okay, but I never look at my phone when I wake up in the morning. Not even in the bedroom. Okay. Okay. Distractions. Everybody likes distractions. I always say there's two forms to an excuse. There's the excuse you make for not doing something, and then there's the excuse you make for the excuse, which becomes your reality, which justifies you making the excuse. Now, you shouldn't be making excuses for anything, because if you decide to do something, then you should do it. Don't make an excuse for it. Do it, and wherever the chips fall, they'll fall. And to get to the best year of your life, you're going to have to do some things differently. This is a new year. You're going into 2025, ladies and gentlemen, with a clean slate. You have a blank canvas that you get to paint any way you want. So you got to have clarity of purpose, clarity of vision to be able to do that. So distractions and diversions, big one. Lack of confidence, resistance to change. Okay, difficult to commit. Okay, don't take responsibility and hold yourself accountable. You think that you're unlovable, and you think that you're not enough. Those are the mind traps that I know everybody's got, and they're in different degrees. But you gotta throw those mind traps, silence the mind traps, and tune in, which is a phrase I use all the time. Tune into that unique frequency of who you are and build it, build on it, massage it, let it grow, feed it, do the things so that you wake up every morning and you're excited. You're excited because now you got 365 days. I think that's as many days in the year, right? 365?
Last I checked.
Okay. So you got 365 days. You want every day to build on the next. Now, is every day going to be great? No. But you want to give yourself the opportunity to do that and make it happen. So what I do in the morning, and I encourage people to do this, you don't have to do it like I do it. I wake up in the morning and I spend the first hour of my day on me. I have a morning ritual. I call it the morning lift. Don't look at my phone. Don't look at my computer. Here's what I do, Alexa, real briefly. I wake up, I pray. I drink a great glass of water. I do a gratitude exercise. I get out of bed and I play with my animals. The reason I play with my animals is because they teach me unconditional love. They get me out of my head and into my heart. Then I read 3 books every day. 365 days of Think and Grow Rich, 365 days of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and a book called The Art of Living by a guy named Epictetus, who was around Plato's time. I just read a page out of each of those books every morning. And then I listen to my Good Morning, Great Day brain technology, my 15-minute tuning in. It's called Sculptations. And I listen to that, and it's me doing the visualization, which I call mind sculpting. It's me talking to me about how to have a great day. And who knows me better than me? Nobody. I know me better than anybody. Okay? And that could be that sometimes it works in my favor, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does. Then after I do that, I sit down and I write. I write a thing called Good Morning, Great Day every day. I've got about 2,000 of them. Okay? Just got a book deal for them. They're going into a 365-day book. It's a stream of consciousness. It's basically an inspiration that empowers me to really focus. See, if you don't live in the present moment, you're either living in the past or the future. Now, here's the thing about those 3 states of mind, okay? The present is all we got. All we have right now, Alexis, is you and me at 1:53 p.m. Pacific time. That's all we have. Most people are living in the past. Now, the only thing you want from the past is the lesson. The future is not here yet, because your present creates your future. And so what you do today, right? What you do today determines what you do tomorrow. So I encourage everybody to have a morning ritual. And the last thing I do, which is a little, I call it woo-foo, right? Is I go around and I talk to my plants, right? Because my plants are living beings. They bring me joy. They bring me joy. They get me out of my head and into my heart. But if you don't have a morning ritual, so I spend the first hour of my day, that's just what I do. Okay. And then, of course, I go work out and I do my juicing. I've been a vegetarian for 40 years, blah, blah, blah. But, unless you can set yourself up for success, whatever that looks like for you, every day, then your mind state will be a mind state of uncertainty as
Hmm.
opposed to a mind state of possibility.
Hmm.
Because anything's possible.
Right.
Anything is possible.
And that's one of the things that, when I shared that story previously, it's like, whoa, if I would have just known that about being able to set myself up
Hmm.
to be in a mind state that is a little more open rather than kind of contracted in fear,
Mm.
focusing on, oh, oh gosh, maybe I don't have good references, or oh, other people have already been working for a couple years in their field and like I'm behind. Um, that really limits me in terms of what I think I can even do next, right? So it's very closed off, and many opportunities that I've actually had that have been really meaningful to me have come from a direction that was surprising. Being able to direct your mind. I mean, that's really what I heard from what you're describing within your rituals and your routines is being able to direct your mind, and then from there, what more information do you get? Because you described first having discovery and then development. Yeah. So, how does these mind states that you described, confidence and power, how does that lead to our discovery of what we want to then develop?
Well, because you're tuned in, you're tuned into the unique frequency of who you are. So you could get up in the morning, or you could do whatever, Alexis, and second guess yourself from
Right.
here to China if you want.
I've done it. I've tried it.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you have. Okay, and you can do that if you want, or who's ever listening, you can do that if you want. That won't even get you to China. What that'll get you is it'll get you to more self-doubt, more uncertainty, more willingness to settle for mediocrity, as opposed to challenging yourself to break out of the mold that you think has been impossible to break out of. It's very possible for you to have whatever you want in your life if you think that way. Everything is about how you think and what you believe. And everything is driven from the moment you wake up every day, that first conversation that you have with yourself. If that conversation that you have with yourself is judgmental, then guess what? You're off to the races. If
Yeah.
you look at this thing every day when you wake up, or something like this, and you give your power over to something outside of you, it's game over. It's game over. Okay, now you're playing catch up. You want to play catch up? Go for it.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
encourage you not to play catch up. I encourage you to be somebody who's waking up every day ecstatically excited about the possibilities of what's possible, and have a vision for what your best year of your life can look like. Now, I know I don't care what anybody tells me. I'm sorry. This is where I'm going to just hold ground, if you will. I don't care what anybody tells you. Everybody knows what they want.
Hmm.
Everybody knows what they want. What they don't know is how to get there. Sometimes they don't know what they want, but they have a pretty good idea. Okay? It's not about not knowing what you want, it's knowing how to get there. And so here's the thing. So I always tell people there's always two things that happen, actually three things that happen when you come up with a new idea. So you come up with an idea. So let's say, Alexis, you want to start a new business, whatever it might be. Your outcome is you're going to have a very successful business. It's going to be doing this. It's going to be transforming lives. A is the idea. C is the outcome. What happens in B is the most important part of anything. Because what happens is when most people come up with an idea, you know what they say to themselves the next thing? Oh, I don't know how to do that. And you know what happens? They don't do it because they talk themselves out of it. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh, okay. Well, why don't you do this? I have a great idea. You know what the next question you ask yourself is, what do I need to do to make it happen? Now that's an action-oriented statement. That's an action-oriented question. And that sets your mind state on a search and seek mission for the answers you need to make it happen. So I'll give you a great example. Best year of your life summit. I met Eric Forbes, who is the brains behind Wisdom for Life. I met Eric at a mastermind that we're both in together. He started to tell me about what he's doing. He started to tell me about the best year of your life. I said, geez, to myself, I said, well, that's right down my alley. So you know what the next thing I did was? Hey, Eric, I think I should be on the best year of your life summit. I'm not afraid to ask. Because, when you ask, if you don't ask for something, you'll never get it. But there's only two things that can happen if you ask for something. Well, maybe three, but two mostly. You either get a yes or a no. Maybe you get a maybe, whatever, mostly yes or no. So I just said, I think I'd be a great speaker for the best year of your life. What do I need to do to make it happen? That was it. And I'm on it, right? I'm right here.
And here we are.
And so that's why when people, when you're trying to create this new paradigm for yourselves, okay, that's coming up in 14, 15 days, what is it that you are willing to let go of and surrender to that is no longer serving your highest purpose, and start to do things that are in your highest purpose, that gets you to activate and unleash your highest potential so that you're fearless. Because if you're not fearless, then you're in mediocrity. Fearless doesn't mean that you're fearing anything. Fearless means you're ready to walk through a wall to get to what you want to get to. Okay? You're ready to create whatever it's got to be for you to get there. That means all those people that are in your life, ladies and gentlemen, that suck your energy, get rid of them. That's not a negative thing. That's not an egotistical thing. But who would you rather spend time with? People that lift you up or people that tear you down? Not hard. It's not rocket science. But most people are afraid to do that because they're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. Now, you don't want to do something to somebody that's nasty or hurt somebody's feelings. But the truth of the matter is, you are the most important part in your life. You're the most important person in your life, Alexis. I am definitely the most important person in my life, and I'm coming from that point of view. You can call it egotistical. I don't care what you call it, but I'm the most important person in my life. So I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to always be the most important person in my life. Because when I'm operating from my highest potential, then I can serve and help people do the same thing.
Wow, and that's a really beautiful note to start wrapping up on here, because man, that time goes by so quick. But we're just in our last couple of minutes or so. So I just in that last couple minutes want to ask you, is there anything that you feel maybe we didn't bring into the conversation yet that you want to leave folks with, or just emphasize something that you've already shared to leave our listeners with today?
A couple things. So again, I just want to hammer home the whole idea of again, life is a mirror image, and so the frequency that you're in every moment of your day attracts a like frequency. And so when you get to the point where it's like things aren't maybe going the way you think they should go, well, just take a moment and really reflect on how are you showing up in your life for you, because how you show up will attract the like people to show up, or like circumstances, or whatever it might be. So it's important to understand that. The other thing is, again, I would say, if you don't have a morning ritual, okay, a lot of people are like, I don't want to do rituals. I don't want to. Fine. Don't call it a ritual. Come up with a name for yourself, but do something when you wake up every day. Set yourself up for success. Don't give your power over to something outside of you. Now you know how to do that. Might be 5 minutes, could be an hour, whatever it might be. Do things that get you to understand that everything that emanates from the way you think and believe is what's going to show up in your life. Okay. And I didn't come up with that. I mean, that's been around for thousands of years. That concept, okay, of your thoughts and beliefs create everything in your life, and your thoughts and beliefs will create your behaviors, and your behaviors will be determined by how you are able to have this internal conversation with yourself that I've mentioned, and it's got to be one where it builds you up as opposed to breaks you down. And your internal conversation shouldn't be judgmental; it should be inspiring. Okay, so that's that. And again, and then the whole idea of really being, I talk a little bit about this concept called your circles of brilliance. Everybody's got a circle of brilliance. And so if you say, well, what is a circle of brilliance? Well, those are the 6 or 7 key people that you hang out with, that are really close to you, that empower and motivate you and inspire you. And that's your circles of brilliance. And since you're already brilliant, you are brilliant from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep. You might as well hang out with people that are brilliant. Okay. And empower you to step into your brilliance. And so I would say that if you want to really, let go of the old you and create the new you, which is for the best year of your life. Okay. I wake up every day and I shed the old me. At least let me put it this way. I wake up every day and I attempt to shed the old me. Do I do it well every day? No. But I can tell you what, I do it most days. I've been doing this a long time. I know where I get into my own way. I know what I do to sabotage myself. I do that. And man, I tell you, when that little thing comes up, I know how to get rid of it. So understand the things that you do that are not alignment, harmony, alignment with what you want in your life. Okay. And again, it's important for you to do that. So it's always important to check in. I call it a personal discovery inquiry. Check into your feelings and emotions. Okay. Okay. And if you can do that, then you can shift quickly. Okay. So the things that I would say that are necessary for you to really start to think about, because you're a few days into your new year now. Okay. There's a few things for you to think about that I think will help you make every day the best day of your life so that you have the best year of your life. And one of them is, there's a word called discipline. You got to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, then what happens is you're grabbing for straws. You know that expression, grabbing for straws. You got to be disciplined on what you want to do. Every choice you make needs to be in your favor. So always choose in your favor. When I say that to people, they go, "Oh, it's pretty egotistical." No, it's not. I'm choosing in my favor so I can show up and be service to the world. I'm looking for the world. I want to uplift the planet. Okay? And when the planet gets uplifted, I get uplifted. Okay? You want to listen to your intuitive mind. Your intuition is really powerful. They call it, your gut. Listen to your gut. I'm telling you what, when I can only speak for myself. When I'm doing something that's not aligned, I know it's not aligned because I get that feeling right here, right in my gut. I know that's probably happened to you too. Okay. When you listen, okay, and you communicate to yourself, respond rather than react. Because when you respond, you're responsible. When you react, you're coming from a place of you're not anchored, you're not centered. Okay. Again, go with your instincts and be very decisive in the choices and actions you take in your life. If you decide to do something wholeheartedly, jump full in. Okay. Don't do anything half. Okay. Because then that'll get you half. But if you jump full in, then you get full. You're full in. So most people, again, there's a challenge to creating the best year of your life, ladies and gentlemen. There's a challenge that if you don't accept it, you won't have it. But if you accept the challenge to change those little things that you've been doing, which you know that you shouldn't be doing, which aren't aligned with what your higher purpose is, if you're not willing to challenge yourself to to shift those out of those kinds of things that are holding you back and sabotaging you into things that are inspiring and empowering you, you're not going to have the best year of your life. But again, it's all up to you because everything is a direct result of some thought and belief that you have, which creates the mind state and the behaviors that are going to drive you every day.
Mm.
So don't give up on you. The last thing you want to do, by the way, giving up is not an option, in case I hadn't said that before. Giving up is not an option. Okay, good.
And Paul, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I know that your work is really all about helping people do what you just described. So can you share with us how we can connect with you outside of this and learn more about your work?
Absolutely. So I do two things when I do summits or podcasts or interviews or whatever. And people tell me I'm crazy, but I am crazy, so it's all good. So that's a compliment. I accept that. Okay. So my website is sculpting SCULPTING sculptingyourlife.com. Okay, that's you can find out a lot of stuff about me there. But here's the other thing that I do on it. Here's my cell phone number: 323 810 5588. 323 810 5588. My email, my personal email, is my name, Paul Hoffman, Hoffman, the number 24 at gmail.com. That's my personal email. So my cell phone and my personal email are yours. Now, what you do with them is up to you. But if there's any way that I can help you, and I am not interested in selling you anything, if there's any way that I can help you, and you don't want to get in touch with me, if I've inspired you, there's questions, or maybe you'd like to connect with me about possibly answering some of your questions, you have now the information to do that. Now, if you're going to think that I'll never answer you back or that you're bothering me, let me just tell you right now, those are thoughts you shouldn't be thinking. What I'm doing here is trying to encourage you and empower you to really use the resources around you to get you to the next level in your life. And I'll go back to what I said to Alexis about being on this summit. If I didn't ask to be on this summit, I wouldn't be on the summit. So use it. Use it, man. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you. And I hope I've done that. I hope I've encouraged you. I hope I've made you laugh a few times and so forth and so on. But I want to tell you what, from everybody listening to this, you are a unique, divine human being who's got extraordinary gifts and talents that nobody else has. Step into it, own it, be it, live it, and enjoy it.
That's beautiful, Paul. And what I really like about your style and the through line of hearing you share today, your experience and your wisdom is just like you've done it your own way and you've made it yours. And so I love how that empowers folks listening to do the same and find out how to make it you and even make it fun, dare I say. I know that change is difficult, but the way that you share about it, there's a lot of lightness and fun in there too, and kind of making it your own thing. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Paul. Thank you again for your experience and your wisdom, and it's been a joy.
My pleasure, Alexis. Thank you so much, and you have a beautiful light, and I know that it's shining out in the world. And just step in, own it, and just be it, because the world needs your light.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.